my name is Dianne, and the purpose of my presentation this morning is to convince you that budgeting is a good thing and that it's simple. It's not very difficult. When you hear the word budget, what's the first thing that comes to mind to most of you?
Saving or skimping.
Skimping, yeah.
Politics.
Politics. Oh, really?
Inability to settle on a budget.
Anyone else? I think a lot of people think of a budget as financially depriving you, or it's punitive. You know, I have to go on a budget because I spent too much money, or my parents put me on a budget because, you know, they're tired of giving me money. But a budget is actually it's a good thing for you. It helps you plan. It's more kind of like what Michelle did, sort of plan buying. So you're planning your money, the money that's coming to you. Okay, think of it as managing money. Your budget isn't created to make your life miserable. It's simply a guide to help you manage your money. We all have income or money coming in, maybe not income, because income implies a job. And without the proper allocation of that money, you're going to fall short. The goal in creating a budget is to lay down the foundation for allocating what portion goes to which money. Okay, a budget is like a recipe. How many have baked a cake before? And if you've baked a cake, have you done that without a recipe? Or even if you've had a box cake, there are ingredients and there are instructions on how to bake that cake. So a budget is pretty much the same thing. It's a recipe for your money. And if you follow that recipe properly, if you baked a cake and you forgot to put eggs in, your cake wouldn't come out well. If you forgot to put the oil in, you know, it wouldn't be a good cake. You'd have a rough cake. So your personal finances aren't much different from that. The income would be equivalent to the sum of the ingredients. Your expenses are the quantities that you use, and the budget is basically tells you how to put everything together. So with a cake recipe, like I said before, if you're short on an egg or put too much flour, it won't taste right. And if you spend too much money on one expense, it may make you short, or another expense will yield results that are less than expected. And your parents get upset because you spent too much money. Okay, the budget worksheet, which I passed out to you, that basically, the purpose of the worksheet is just to create a list of all budget items that apply to your personal lifestyle. So not everyone's budget items are going to be the same because your money's come from different places. And then on the worksheet, you're going to estimate your monthly inflows and outflows. You're going to record your actual income and expenses, and then you're going to compare the estimates. And based upon that comparison, you tweak your budget the next month to whatever you have coming in. Okay, so preparing your budget. On the sheet, the first thing you're going to do, for purposes of this demonstration, we're going to project for October, because we're already in the month of September. You've already probably spent a lot of the money that you've gotten already. So we're going to project what we're going to do for October. So the first category, which are the inflows, and that could be income from a job, allowances that you may get from your parents, gifts, scholarships, or education loans. How many in the room are employed, have an actual job? Most of you do. And then, does your job cover all of your expenses, or do you have your parents giving you money, or no, you're pretty much covered? That's really good. I'm glad you hear that. So under inflows, the categories, if you have an allowance from your parents, that's where you would put your monthly allowance from them. Any gifts that you may get from someone, a friend or something, you would put that in that category. Then any jobs that you have, and then other, if you get educational loans, a lot of times you get a lump sum in the beginning of the semester. So what you would do in this case would be to multiply it out probably a 6-month period, because I believe you get more money in January, or a 4-month period, and that's how much you would put there for your estimated amount for income. Then you have your outflows. Now, for the outflows, if you're in an apartment or if you're in the dorms, you have, that would be what your rent is. You have your groceries, your food money. These are all estimates. So if you, you know, if you're maintaining your household, these expenses are probably going to be a little higher than if you were, you know, living in the dorms and just purchasing food. Or usually you have a food plan that's included in your in your tuition. Then you have your clothing, what you spend on clothing. Some of us spend a lot more on clothing than others, I think, on a monthly basis. Entertainment, your eating out, your movies, your DVDs, your Starbucks, all of that, you estimate what you may spend. I don't know, some go to Starbucks once a week, some go every day, so that would be where you would just estimate what you're going to spend. And you just go down the line here. All the big expenses would be your car payments if you have one, car insurance, phone bills, cell phone bills. Some of you probably would not have utilities, especially if you're living at home. A lot of these expenses your parents are going to have, so you're not, some of these you're not going to have amounts in those categories. Then after you've basically gone down and put in estimated all the money that you're going to spend for the month, you come to a grand total. The next step is to track your expenses. Track and record your expenses. So that would mean during the month, keeping receipts, just jotting down things that you purchased, that you actually used your money for that month. And then you at the end of the month, you total those amounts and you put them in the actual column. And then you compare those two to see just how you did that month. And at the end of the month, that's when you go through, you tweak, you make adjustments, and then you come up with your next month's plan as far as how much you can spend in those particular categories. And this is really good because it really, it makes you see where you might be overspending, where you might be overextending yourself. And you also need to consider, if you have a job, it's savings. That's another area that's very difficult for most people to do. And the rule of thumb is to save 10% of your income every month, to put that into a savings. Okay, once you have created your budget, you need to ask yourself, is it realistic? There are areas where we may think we're only spending $200 a month in gas, but we're really spending $800 a month in gas. Or so that's where you have to go back after you've done your budget and say, can I even follow this budget? Because if I can't, if it's unrealistic, then I'm going to blow it every month. So it's a good time to really take a look at that and make your adjustments. So that's the perfecting it, and then following it is another area where it's pretty hard to do, is to follow a budget, especially when you're accustomed to going out and spending just on a whim. It's important to step back and follow it, because what you'll find is that you're not going to be stressed out at the end of the month because you don't have enough money. You're gonna feel good, and you're gonna be able to move forward and do the things that you want to do. So are there any questions?
Where do you get the information about how much you should be saving? This 10%, where's that from?
Now, that information I actually got from, I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey. He's a guru, a financial guru, and that's his suggestion. It's 10% saving.
And you've had Mr. Schultz.
Yes. I know he says 20, doesn't he?
He said, he tells us or half,
Save half your income.
or just like for the same.
No, it's 10%. 10% is the standard.
Well,
Yeah,
we did our
Yeah.
project.
I mean, it's better to save
The
20.
project-
Was it 50% of what you have left over?
What should you do? What should you do to make sure that you save 10% of your?
You probably should take it off the top. When you first get your paycheck, your paycheck is gonna, all your taxes are gonna be taken out. A lot of times your medical insurance is taken out of that. So whatever your net pay is, if you just, as a rule of thumb, just take 10% and put it aside, and then work with what you have, the 90% you have left. It's easier to save that way versus going the other way and saying, oh, I've got $10 left out, I'll save that.
Can it be on your own purposes? Like if you want to do couldn't hurt the right to you want to save 50 or you want to save?
Oh, if you want to
50%,
save
so-
50, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess it's just on your own purposes,
Right,
right?
right. In today's economy, that's no you can save.
Yeah, that's, wow, that would do.
Yeah.
10% is the minimum.
It's a minimum. That's just the minimum amount. You can always go more.
Yeah. But I'm sure you can never do 50 either. These days.